And I can't thank the leadership enough, especially of that of Wesley and Leah here, and what they've been able to do for everybody here, but specifically me, right? Because sometimes I think we get to the point where you know you need to hear something, you know you don't want to hear it, but they come in and they tell you anyway. Anyone else can relate? Oh yeah, everyone's hand should be here because we all heard it, right? I got two hands, and but that's mentorship. So there's a difference between mentor and mentorship, and it all depends on what you're valuing and how you value it. Are you going out and saying, "Hey, yeah, I have a mentor," but are you really receiving mentorship? Two different things. And I've seen a lot of the times, and this is just experience, that stagnation comes from the lack of communication. And I realized that the more you communicate, the more help you have, the more belief you have in yourself. But it also, the more you communicate, helps you understand more solutions. Because we all get those moments where maybe we're not thinking of the solution because we're emphasizing the obstacle. But that's where that's where mentorship coaching comes in, to help you focus on the right things. Because ultimately, what you focus on grows. And I come to the conclusion that you can't solve a mind problem with your mind. A lot of you are like, what does that even mean? Most of the time, the problem isn't the problem itself, but it's how we're thinking about that problem is the actual problem. So how we're going about the issues and challenges that we have in life and how we're thinking about it is typically what's stopping us from the growth that we're looking for. Right? So one thing I understood too is 80% of people fail not because of failure, but because of the fear of failure, not the act of failure. Because when you go out and fail, you actually get feedback. But when you let the fear of failure stop you from the action, then you're done. And that's where people stop the growth. That's where people feel that they don't have hope. The reason that is because when you have the fear of failure, you don't have the pain. There's no pain because you're not doing the failure needed to get the feedback, which is ultimately not leading to the hope that you need through the pain that you receive from the failure. That was something I've come to the conclusion. I've understood that if you're solution-oriented, bigger and better things come in your life. We're all living our lives. Things come and go. Things happen. Things change. But at the end of the day, things move forward. And I've realized that a lot of the times is we get in this state of mind that we know what to do. We know exactly how to do it. But how many of you choose not to do it? Ever been there? You know exactly what to do, how to do it. You know, I got to do it. And then that day you don't do it for whatever reason. And it's in those moments that are the toughest. Or you choose to do it, but then you're still focusing on maybe the results, or you're focusing on the wrong intentions, or you're focusing on the wrong aspects. And you come back and, well, I've sent 10 messages every day. I don't know why I'm not getting the results I'm looking for. Is the intention sending the messages or the intention connecting with people? two completely different things. And so when it came down to it, I understood, okay, people are having the fear of failure stop them, not the act of failure itself. Because the act of failure itself is the feedback. The failure is the pain. The pain gives you the hope. The hope gives you the dream, and the dream becomes a reality. And it all just depends on what your dream is. And is your desire for the dream stronger than the pull of excuses? Or that story that we tell ourselves of why we didn't want to do the things that we know we should have done, that we know what we need to do, that we can do, but we end up not doing. Because again, it's not the action that we take that's holding us back. It's the lack of action from the fear of something that's holding us back. Or our thoughts towards things. I remember specifically Ali telling me this. He said, people understand they can do it. People understand they can learn to do it. They know how to do it. But the one question that they'll always ask themselves, is it worth it? But the one thing you always have to get that clear in your mind then is understanding, focus on your goals, focus on your dream, focus on what is it you want most. And there's going to be so many things that are going to come and try and obscure that focus, that tenacity, that drive, that desire that you have. There's going to be so many different things, different forces, different energies, different events that are going to come and try and knock you off. One thing I've realized, it's not bad getting knocked off, but it's bad when you don't get realigned. So a lot of the times, it's you get knocked back, you get knocked down, but how quickly can you get back up? How quickly can you adjust? Do you have, I think it was like a SOS audio? Do you have like go-to audios that you can listen to? Be like, I'm not feeling it, but this audio is going to help me get some sort of feeling, some sort of goodness in my day. Right? Because not all days are going to be good. But we can do something to try and make it just a little bit better. So ultimately, there's no secret. Ultimately, most of the time, people aren't getting the results that they're looking for because they're focusing on the wrong things, which is fear. And if you're living in fear, you have the lack of faith. And if you have the lack of faith, your dream isn't alive. And if you don't have a dream, well, any man without a vision will perish. It's very simple when you connect the dots. And when you understand it all is in unison and in sync with one another, then you kind of puzzle it, you piece it together. And you said, this is where I want to go. So we talked about the conference that's coming up. We know we got some coming up in August. I know Arizona team, we're going to go to California, right? We're excited about it. But one thing tonight, we're wrapping up. It's almost the end of this month. I just turned another year older, so it's got me thinking a lot of things in terms of, man, I'm getting older. I'm going to catch Wesley soon. That I was like, I got to start doing something because he's free and I'm not yet. So I got to do something. So my mind's been going. And the one thing I said, well, what can I do now until next conference? And who can I bring with me? And what can I add to that conference? Are you going to the conference to attend? Or are you going to the conference to participate? Because there's always a role within the team. What do you want your role to be? But that you got to clearly articulate that. So I think tonight, understand what that one goal is personally that you want to improve on, and what do you want to do that's going to help you participate in the next conference. Don't just be in attendance, but be a participant. And I'm not talking about being on BWW and representing, but I'm talking about representing yourself, representing the team. If you don't have a team, what kind of team you're looking for? How's that going to be? So how are you going to participate with your cross line? How are you going to participate in different topics and different trainings and different discussions? Are you going to go in with questions? Are you going to be ready to learn and to associate, to figure out how you can grow? That was big. But when you eliminate excuses, you'll find your answers. When you eliminate fear and replace it with faith, you'll ignite your dream again. Even stronger. I shouldn't say again, you should never lose your dream. But I think sometimes it's just like I forget who spoke about this, but said sometimes it's like a little flame. Sometimes it's ignited, and sometimes there's like fires out here in Arizona. It's super big and it's everywhere, right? And it's like, where's your flame? And are you aware of where your flame is right now? Perfect. Thank you. Flicker, flame, fire. And you got to be honest with yourself, which is probably the hardest thing that anyone ever has to do, because we live in a world that's so quick to point fingers. But if you're going to point at yourself in the mirror. And last thing I want to leave it with, don't say it, show it. Don't speak it, prove it. And go out there and be it. With that, I'm done for tonight. Back to Tony.
Woo!